The golden age of America is upon us. We are in the golden age. This is the greatest we'll ever be. And together, with your help and the patriots all across this magnificent land, we love our country. We will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America healthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. Thank you very much. Thank you, Georgia. Thank you.
Last question for you. If Democrats do take over the House, it's just going to be investigation mania. You know, they're going to do oversight. They could impeach you again. I mean, do you think they will?
Well, a lot of people are saying I'm one of the greatest presidents ever.
They're not saying that, though.
But they know, they see the results. Look.
Investigations, if Democrats were to take over, they're already preparing the investigations. We know they're going to be investigating him, his family, his businesses, their associates, and so much more through subpoenas and so much more. So, pretty significant news. As always, I'll have more updates for you soon. Spread the word, follow for more.
Can't get over Trump telling that reporter, a lot of people are saying that I am one of the greatest presidents ever. And the reporter saying, they aren't saying that.
Trump thinks that he's loved everywhere. Americans loves him. He's the greatest person on earth. Remember, recently he called himself Jesus. Now, guess what? This guy roasted him. Said, no, they don't love you. Let us listen to this interview.
Gasoline will soon be $5 a gallon. They could also bring down our country.
Gas prices are going to destroy this country.
Inflation is the worst it's been in 40 years. Gas prices are up 50%.
Those were comments from Donald Trump over the years as he warned that rising gas prices were a sign of failed leadership in the White House. Now, in 2026, Trump is back in office and gas prices are rising again. Oil prices briefly surged as the Iran war threatened global supply routes like the Strait of Hormuz. But within about a day, prices dropped sharply as markets bet the conflict could ease. Still, oil prices are well above what they were at the start of the war, and prices at the pump are significantly higher than they were just a few weeks ago. For years, Trump has argued that presidents are responsible for what Americans pay at the pump.
People are outraged. The fact is, we have nobody in the White House to protect us. This could bring down Obama, but unfortunately, it could also bring down our country. Gasoline and fuel and oil, that's really the lifeblood of the country. That's what we need to work.
Trump didn't make the comment once. He warned again and again that rising gas prices were a sign of failed leadership in Washington.
Rising gas prices will absolutely kill any movement in the economy.
Now, with oil prices climbing as the war involving Iran rattles global energy markets, Trump is responding this way. Short-term oil prices will drop rapidly when the destruction of the Iran nuclear threat is over. It is a very small...
Our country right now is doing better than it's ever done. You know, when I see polls on the economy, I should have 150%, not 100%.
Did you hear that? That's how ignorant he is. Here's a quick math lesson. In order to have 150% approval, you would need 150 out of 100 people approving you, which is impossible.
A new CNN poll just came out, and it's not good news for Donald Trump, not at all. A record 73% of Americans say that he hasn't paid enough attention to the country's most important problems. Learning about that poll made me think about Trump's campaign promises. Remember, he's big on promises. He said he's going to lower prices, he's going to bring down inflation, and he's going to make life more affordable. Instead, a lot of Americans see a president who is spending time talking about the 2020 election, fighting political battles, and building a massive White House ballroom. Whether you support him or not, this poll suggests a lot of voters don't think he's focused on the problems they're dealing with every single day. And for any president, that is a dangerous place to be in, especially heading into a midterm election. I break all of it down in today's Lucky Lemon 7 newsletter on Substack. The link is in bio. Go check it out. Go sign up.
This is real. Watch this.
Last question for you. If Democrats do take over the House, it's just going to be investigation mania. You know, they're going to do oversight. They could impeach you again. I mean, do you think they will?
Well, a lot of people are saying I'm one of the greatest presidents ever.
They're not saying that, though.
Donald Trump just got brutally fact-checked to his face. Trump claimed that a lot of people think he's the greatest president ever, to which the reporter responded, not really. Trump turned the presidency into a personal grievance operation. Truth became optional. Competence was secondary to loyalty. Public servants who refused to serve his private interests were treated as traitors. The government began to look less like a republic and more like an extension of one man's ego and brand. On the economy, the story his supporters tell is selective. Tax cuts bloated the deficit while benefits flowed upward. Trade wars disrupted supply chains and raised costs for ordinary families. The pandemic response was chaotic, delayed, and politicized. Whatever boom existed never reached large parts of the country. What many Americans felt instead was greater insecurity and the sense that the system was rigged for the already rich. No modern president did more to poison faith in elections. Trump spent years claiming the system was fraudulent whenever it failed to deliver his preferred result. January 6th was not an accident. It was the predictable outcome of that rhetoric. The America he leaves is more divided, more cynical, and less capable of solving its problems than the one he inherited. That is not an accident. That is the record. The longer people stay silent, or both sides this, the deeper the damage goes.
Trump is in total denial. Someone finally called him on it. This was the best thing ever. This is going viral, this clip. Everyone's talking about it, but Trump is in total denial. Denial sure is a powerful thing, but he is not considered one of the greatest presidents ever by most people in this country and across the world. In fact, he's regarded as one of the worst. And remember, the truth is more powerful than denial.
I saw polls today on television that say Donald Trump polls on the economy aren't good. The economy is the greatest economy we've ever had by far. The economy aren't good. They're fake polls, just like fake writers. I took over the country. The prices were through the roof. In my first day, the press said, what are you going to do about affordability? It was a word they devised, affordability. No, they never used that word before.
I mean, I talked to aides, again, even yesterday, ahead of this West Coast swing here, in LA and then Vegas. And like, look, we're going to have this centerpiece event on the economy. We'll talk about no tax on tips, which is one of the few things he can say he's done for, and that particularly resonates there in the service economy in Las Vegas. But yet he takes the idea of affordability, claims the media invented it, or perhaps Democrats, and then utterly dismisses it. And it goes to his inability to ever admit a mistake, to ever admit that things aren't perfect, that things aren't a golden age. And I wrote, sort of related to this, a piece for The Atlantic this morning about how the reflecting pool embarrassment, how the Air Force One embarrassment, how it wasn't secure enough for him to fly overseas, led to him lashing out, and even using the levers of government to go after those that he blamed in those respective cases, whether it's a canoeist or New York Times reporters. In this case, he is embarrassed, or at least humbled by the state of the economy, and he simply can't admit that it's not going great. Yeah, it is for those at the very top, no doubt. But there's a reason why there's so much populist anger right now in the country, is because most of the nation feels like they're being left behind, and they look to the president, who seems out of touch. It's not that he's offering solutions that aren't working, and maybe he'd get credit for trying. He doesn't seem to be even trying.
Really?
I voted for Trump 3 motherfucking times. I've taken so many fucking arrows for this dude. It's insane. And it's impossible to defend his position right now. When he gets on TV and someone says, hey, are you worried about the economic impacts and the hardships that are happening with the working class person? And you say, no, all I'm worried about is Iran not having a nuclear weapon. Bro, you lose so many people every time you say that. And it's becoming more and more apparent and more clear that you have the interest of a fucking another country over the interest of the people that you were elected to serve.
Donald Trump is the most corrupt president in American history. It is not close. For nearly 50 years, every president separated their personal finances from the office. Jimmy Carter put his family peanut business in a trust so no one could claim he profited from his decisions. Ronald Reagan liquidated his investments in 1981 and handed them to an independent trustee with no contact and no control. George H.W. Bush did it. Bill Clinton did it. George W. Bush did it. Barack Obama kept his money in treasury bonds and owned no stock as president. Joe Biden held no individual stocks either. None were required to by law. They did it because they understood public office as a public trust, not a personal trading desk. Trump is shredding that tradition. No divestment or blind trust. His sons run a global business empire that cuts deals with foreign governments. His son-in-law manages billions for Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the UAE while serving as Trump's volunteer envoy on the war in Iran. He launched a personal cryptocurrency that foreign buyers use to funnel money straight to his family. And now we learn his account made 3,700 trades in a single quarter, more than 40 a day, in companies like NVIDIA, Oracle, Microsoft, and Boeing, every one with billions riding on decisions his administration makes. We must put a stop to this. Ban stock trading for the president, vice president, cabinet, and every member of Congress. No loopholes.
Listen to this lady.
He doesn't care about us. Somebody asked him about a week ago, what about the American people? And they're struggling right now.
To what extent are Americans' financial situations motivating you to make a deal?
Not even a little bit.
He did not care. I couldn't even watch that. I was angry after that. Like, I voted for you and you don't care about me?
You're not poor because a child born in a food desert in the wealthiest country on earth receives SNAP benefits and free school lunches. You're not drowning in medical debt because an undocumented person needed emergency care under EMTALA and the hospital got reimbursed for merely stabilizing them and sending them on their way. You're not choosing between groceries and rent because two men or two women want to share a life together and they want their union to be recognized by the state as marriage with all the benefits of it bestowed upon them, like everybody else. You're not working 60 hours a week or two jobs because a trans person wants to feel comfortable in their own body in the same way that everybody else wants to feel comfortable in their own body, which is why people are allowed to get TRT and Botox. You're not stressed about childcare, stretching your grocery budget thin because a woman you'll never meet made one of the hardest decisions in her life about her own body for reasons that are, quite frankly, none of your fucking business. And you're not unemployed because a black or brown man or woman got a job over a white person in a field or industry that you can barely fucking pronounce. None of that moves the needle on your rent. None of that impacts how much your employer pays you, your salary, or your hourly rate. None of that built the medical bill that's sitting on your counter that you're too afraid to open. You're struggling because your landlord or your property management company is backed by private equity, and that private equity firm bought up half the block and raised rent 20% in 1 year. You're struggling because your employer posted record profits, and instead of reinvesting in their workforce with raises, they gave only the executives and themselves bonuses. You're struggling because healthcare in this country is for profit. It's a for-profit industry, and the insurance companies make more money with the more claims they deny. You're struggling because 3 men have more wealth than half the country combined. You're struggling because the people in power today passed a tax bill that hands the richest 1% roughly $1 trillion in cuts over the next decade, while your taxes continue to go up to help pay for it. You're struggling because gas and grocery prices spiked when this administration pushed the country into a war with Iran, shutting down oil trade through the Strait of Hormuz, so every industry, every second-order industry that's impacted by the price of fuel, raise their prices on you. You're struggling because this administration slapped tariffs on everyday goods, and that cost didn't come out of some foreign country's pockets. It came out of your pockets at checkout, and then when it was refunded, you got none of that back. It all went back to the companies who raised their prices on you anyway. The only thing that's certain here in the United States are death and taxes. You sign that social contract the second you're born here and you're granted U.S. citizenship. It doesn't matter to what administration. You will pay your taxes, your fair share. Where those tax dollars are allocated is what's important. Do you want them allocated to programs that help Americans, help other Americans, or help you? Or do you want them going strictly to our Department of Defense and tax breaks for billionaires? That circle jerk of wealth transfer between the top 1% in this country can persist while you're down here struggling to pay for groceries. You're so focused on the culture wars, you can't even see the hand that's in your pocket robbing you every fucking day and returning nothing to you of value. You need to wake up.
How would you rate the job Trump's doing thus far?
Oh, yeah, he's great. I think his second term is outshining his first term. I now believe he's the greatest president in the history of this country.
Just what he says, just everything that Trump says is going to happen. It will. He speaks his mind, and that's what we love about him. He doesn't just sugarcoat anything. He tells it like it is. And that's, I think, what America wants to hear.
How do you feel about this war with Iran?
I think if it needs to be done, it needs to be done, and Trump will get it done.
Do you think it needs to be done?
If Trump does, I do.
When everybody says Trump lies, they never give an example of a lie. Does he exaggerate sometimes? Absolutely. That's what he does. He speaks in superlatives.
Well, let's talk about
There's a difference between lies and superlatives.
If Jesus were a voter in Iowa, who do you think he'd vote for in this next election?
I'm praying that Jesus would vote for Trump because, you know, more recently, I don't think Trump was a really strong believer when he entered the race in 2016 or 15, whenever. I really see his life is changing, and now when he speaks, he points people in the direction of God, and that, hey, he's not the answer. but Jesus is the answer.
Trump is the greatest president?
Absolutely. I mean,
Do you think he's the greatest president of all time?
Oh, I think absolutely he's the greatest president. I mean, look at he's brought all these wars to an end, 8 wars in there, and he's protecting our country from being nuked.
What were the 8 wars he stopped?
I don't know them all offhand, but he stopped them over. Yeah.
Do you know? Can you name a couple?
Tell him, Gail.
Well, what were the wars that he stopped?
Look up. Other countries, talk to him, I'll think of them.
Yeah, just one war that he stopped?
I can't think of one now.
He says it.
Yeah, but he is.
But we can't name one. All right, thank you. Explain the outfit to me.
Well, it's all about gold for President Trump, this 250th anniversary of America's great birth. And I just wanted to wear the gold in his honor. He's fighting so hard for us.
He loves gold, right?
Yes, he does.
Do you see the Oval Office?
Not yet, but maybe someday.
Oh, have you seen pictures of it? There's so much gold there. It's almost like too much gold, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I wouldn't care if it was a Democrat at this point. I'd vote for anybody who would get rid of the property tax.
So property tax is your number one issue. What about health care?
I could care less about health care. I haven't had health care in 20 years. I could care less about it.
You haven't had health care in 20 years?
No.
I
don't go to the doctor.
You just don't go to the doctor?
And I'm 62 years old. I'm just fine.
But would you like to go to the doctor if you had it for free?
No, I wouldn't want it for free.
You wouldn't want free health care?
No. If I got it, I'd want to pay for it.
Why? Why wouldn't?
Because I don't want nothing for free. What kind of world does people get shit for free? That's just ignorant.
Well, there's, you pay taxes into a system.
Nobody deserves anything for free.
Nobody deserves anything for free?
Nobody deserves anything for free.
What about public libraries, roads?
That isn't from the government. If it was from the government, no, we shouldn't have it.
That's from the government.
The roads are from the government. The government should do the roads. That isn't free. We're paying taxes for it.
Right. Well, you could pay taxes for health care.
Well, I don't want to. Everybody just pick their own doctor and go to the doctor they want to. When I need to go to the doctor, I go to the doctor and see them, and I pay them cash.
But you wouldn't want everyone to have the ability to have free health care?
No.
What are your thoughts on the Iran war?
Blow them out of the water.
What, blow them out of the water?
Yeah, blow them out of the water.
Why do you want to blow Iran out of the water?
Well, they're kind of dirtbags, don't you think? The leaders over there.
Yeah. So what should how should the U.S. respond with their military?
This is the way he is right now. You do something to us, we're going to do something to you.
And what did they do to us to start it?
What did they do? They shooting at the ships, or they're shooting at ships right now, right?
Well, I think it started with the U.S. bombing Iran.
Well, nuclear, yeah, get rid of them. Those leaders over there are something else. They don't need nuclear power over there.
Our brand new CNN poll numbers show Donald Trump breaking records, and not in a good way. 73% of Americans in this poll say that Donald Trump is focused on the wrong priorities. That's nearly 3 out of every 4 Americans. He is matching his all-time low for his overall job approval rating in our poll. He stands at 34%. That's where he was in the aftermath of the January 6th insurrection in his first term. And he is now at a record numerical low in approval among Republicans, his fellow partisans. 78% of Republicans in this poll approve of Donald Trump's job performance. He's never seen a number that low among his fellow Republicans. What's driving this low point for Donald Trump as he prepares to head into the midterm election season this fall? Well, it's the major issues driving the news: the economy, inflation, gas prices, and the war in Iran. On these issues, the war in Iran, his handling of gas prices, his handling of inflation, he doesn't even crack 30% approval. And that overall job approval number, that record low of 34%, that's actually 8 points below where Donald Trump himself was 8 years ago when he was heading into his midterms in his first term and his party lost control of Congress. This all bodes very dangerously for the Republican Party with less than 100 days to go before voters head to the polls.
When Trump went in the White House, literally in a matter of months, those of us that fought for him when no one else would, we all of a sudden got kicked out. And it was the Republicans like Mike Lawler and all these other guys that were the ones being constantly ushered into the White House for meetings and all kinds of things. That's when the president also became bought and paid for by the exact same group of people, powerful donor class, and the powerful industries.
Would you say that the group that hated Trump and then early in the term got invitations to the White House, were they all servants of Israel?
Oh, 100%.
What a nonsensical response to the question, what happens if Democrats try to impeach you? So he's either delusional or he's been programmed like a Teddy Ruxpin doll and can only rotate through a few sayings. Like, we're the hottest country in the world right now. It's Biden's fault. It's Obama's fault. And my approval ratings have never been higher.
I don't think Biden had any idea what it was. But our country right now is doing better than it's ever done. You know, when I see polls on the economy, I should have 150%, not 100%. This is the golden age of America. What's being built.
150% is not even a thing, but what? And Trump's actual approval rating on the economy is like 30%. And the July jobs report that came out today is not looking great. 23,000 jobs were cut in the month of July, and jobs numbers from previous months have been revised down after further analysis. That's not a sign of a hot economy, Donnie. Somebody needs to reprogram him. Just make him say, I suck, I'm terrible, I never should have been president. Agree? Give me a follow.
If you need more time, does that mean Americans should anticipate spending more on gasoline for the foreseeable future?
For a little while. And you know what they get for that? You know what they get for that? Iran without a nuclear weapon that's going to try and blow up one of our cities or blow up the entire Middle East. You want to see what shock would be? And I have to be honest, the stock market is at an all-time high right now. I thought it would have been down 20, 25%. When we hit, wait a minute, wait, can I finish my question, wise guy? The stock market's at an all-time high right now. I projected, and I'm pretty good at this, that the stock market, Howard, would drop maybe 20%, 25%, and I understood that, and I said, hey, it's a bad thing, but I have to do what's right for the country, even the world, because you can't have them, you cannot let them have a nuclear weapon. So the stock market, unlike what a lot of people were predicting, I thought they weren't necessarily wrong. And the stock market today hit an all-time high. Hit an all-time high yesterday, the day before, and it's staying there. I thought oil would go up to maybe $200 a barrel, and oil is at a different number than anyone thought. In fact, this country is much lower because we have all the oil we can use. We're actually, ships are coming from all over the world to Texas, Louisiana, and Alaska. They're coming from all over the world to get oil from the United States, you know, while this is closed, the Hormuz Strait. So if you look at what I said, I guess it was right, because I said I'd have it 4 to 6 weeks, and in 4 weeks we have totally defeated their military. So right now, I don't want to rush it because you guys are, you know, trying to make us look as bad as possible. I don't want to rush it. I want to take my time. We have plenty of time, and I want to get a great deal. I want to get a deal where our nation and the world is safe from lunatics with nuclear weapons.
And MAGA fans or MAGA supporters keep on regretting why they voted for Donald Trump.
Before he got in office, all those criminals coming in here, he closed the border.
I love my country, and I hate what is happening to it.
He's a grifter, liar, manipulator. Seeing the treatment of American citizens is concerning.
He's the best one we've had since Ronald Reagan.
We came to North Carolina to visit some small and rural communities considered Trump country to get a better sense of how the president's supporters are feeling.
I think he's doing all right.
I think he's doing a great job. I think he's listening to the people, and I think he does what the people say.
So how do Donald Trump supporters feel about his handling of controversial issues? Let's start with immigration.
I don't think anybody wishes that anyone would have been killed, but the reality is that there's that situation that is developing in Minneapolis where ICE is trying to conduct their lawful duties. They have to do that. It's not optional for them.
The protesters are just idiots. I hate people get killed, but if you act like a fool, you get treated like a fool.
Those people were in these groups that were taught to go out and harass the ICE people. I mean, they're helping their communities be safer by getting those people out.
Oh, he's doing a fine job. He had to come in and straighten out a lot of mess.
Is there anything that stands out to you that you like most about what he's doing?
I like the fact that he can't be controlled.
When it comes to Canada, voters here view Trump's threats as a joke, and some are even aware of the Alberta separation movement. What do you think about how Trump has talked about Canada?
I think it's funny. I think he's doing it to get a reaction out of people. If you live in Alberta, I support you.
Oh, Alberta separation.
A lot of us down here refer to them as Snow Texas. They share a lot of the common values that I would associate with American values. Whether they want to be an independent state or if they wanted to join the union, then I would be cool with that.
Voters here who support Democrats tell us with everything that's gone on so far this year, it's only hardened their opposition.
It's very depressing and concerning, especially with all the corruption and the disgusting people he's pardoned.
We love Canada.
Yep.
That's
Stick it
all.
to Trump with the tariffs, you guys. Buy from somebody else. Punish him for being an idiot. Thank you, Canada. We love you.
I never expected this, right? It's terrifying. You read about this stuff, you learn about it. It's part of history.
When does the time come that we rise up? We're looking at things that are happening in Minneapolis and Minnesota and around the country with ICE and the thuggishness and what I perceive to be nation fascism. Now, am I on the cusp of arming myself and rising up? No. But the fact that I asked the question is horrifying.
I'm a hardworking American guy, and I'm getting shafted at the pump. That's how I feel.
Wayne Schoenberger is a Trump voter, and he's fed up with the war in Iran.
Being a Trump voter, seeing the gas prices where they're at, what's your message to him?
Like, step in and help.
Do you have any opinion about the war in Iran? I mean, do you think that we should be there?
I don't even know why we're there. No, I don't think we should be there. He blew him up 7,000 times already in the last 4 months. That's what he keeps saying. I'm going to level your whole country. Well, do something over here. Don't worry about what they're doing over there. Let them run their country. We're not over there. Like, look at us. We're the ones suffering for this war.
How much more would you say that you're paying?
I'm easily spending $900 more a trip.
Almost $1,000 a trip.
Yeah, easily.
He transports luxury vehicles across the country and says gas prices are becoming too much to bear.
We can't swallow that cost. So the sad thing is it goes to the consumer. And sometimes I swallow some of that just because I need the clients. I don't want to lose a client, but that's hard for me to do and still make profit.
And he's actually had to slow down the number of trips he takes per month because of the price of gasoline. According to Gas Buddy, Americans are spending roughly $350 million more per day on gas than they were a year ago.
And so what's going on here?
What is going on, Mr. Berman? What's going on is simple. The MAGA movement was built among the working class, non-college Americans. And take a look at this trend line that we're looking at in the data. Here we go. Okay, net favorability rating, the MAGA movement, non-college adults. Back in October of 2024, look at that. On the plus side of the ledger, positive, +6 points. Down we go into the Atlantic Ocean now. Look at this movement. Now minus 22 points. That is a shift, Johnny B, of 28 points away from the MAGA movement, away with non-college Americans. So the bottom line is the group at which the Trump movement was built upon, they are shifting away and saying, we don't like MAGA anymore.
Same question, same poll here. This is really interesting to see these numbers move like that.
Yes, exactly right. It's the same question, same poll.
All right. So how about what the same group is saying about Donald Trump specifically?
Yeah, okay. So you know what? The idea being, okay, maybe they've soured on MAGA, but they haven't soured on MAGA, but maybe they haven't soured on me, Donald Trump might be saying. Ain't the truth. Take a look here. Okay, non-college voters on Trump. Hello. Okay, in the 2024 election, he won them by 13 points, right? That was the reason he won. He won among non-college voters, a very strong performance amongst them. And that, of course, was the reason he was able to win, because college voters were against him. But look at this now. Minus 19 points. Minus 19 points. We're talking about an even bigger shift here. We're talking about, what is this? This is a 32-point shift away from the President of the United States when it comes to his key core political group. This is why he's in so much trouble. It's not just that college voters are against Trump now. It turns out that non-college voters, the ones that he built his presidential bid on, have waved adios, goodbye, see you later, Mr. Trump. We don't like you anymore.
So what impact might this have on Republican House members?
Okay, Johnny B is asking the key question here, because maybe they're abandoning President Trump, but you know what? The midterm elections, they may not like Democrats either. Well, if you're a congressional Republican, you wish that to be true, I have bad news for you, because it turns out that the non-college voters are turning on you too, and it may in fact turn you out of power in the congressional elections coming up in the midterms. Choice for the House, non-college voters, 2024 election, look at this. Republicans plus 13 points. Now Democrats actually lead among non-college voters in an average of polls. It's just a point, but you know what? When it comes to a point, and given how well the Democrats are doing among college voters, these are the types of numbers in which blue waves are built, and therefore we can say that the key group that put Donald Trump in the White House, the key group that he built the MAGA movement upon, is leaving him, and it's leaving congressional Republicans too.
Harold Denton, thank you very much for that. The time is 8:26 and 20 seconds, which means in about 3 minutes and 40 seconds, we get a brand new...
We ended Medicaid for illegal immigrants, and we redirected $50 billion to make the largest investment in rural health in the history of our country. You're getting hospitals built in areas just like this that the Democrats would never do. And number one, they said that's Trump country. We're not going to do anything. They wouldn't spend, because we did. We got tremendous votes. In your whole state, we got tremendous. We won in a landslide. In just 18 months, we've turned this country around like nobody's ever seen before.
And by the way, I'm sorry, gentlemen. I've noticed this especially with some men who seem to think Trump's behavior, the bullying and the putting people down, is a sign of strength. And I am here to tell you that is not what real strength is. It never has been. Real strength is about working hard and carrying a heavy load without complaining. Real strength is about taking responsibility for your actions and telling the truth even when it's inconvenient. Real strength is about helping people who need it and standing up for those who can't always stand up for themselves. That is what we should want for our daughters and for our sons. And that is what I want to see in a president of the United States of America.
The world order has changed. And you need to know that, and you need to know how, because this will impact every aspect of your life: economic, social, cultural, and personal. I'm an award-winning attorney and international relations scholar, and when I was an undergrad, we had a lot of professors talk about international relations and the way that the world works. So for most of history, the world was multipolar, meaning that there were a bunch of different powerful countries or hegemons, and no one country or two countries really dominated the entire world. In the 1900s, after Europe was embroiled in multiple world wars, most scholars agree that the world became bipolar between US and Russia during the Cold War that were dominating most international conversations and impacting the economy worldwide, and no other countries came close. After the end of the Cold War, and really about midway through the Cold War, but definitely from 1989 onwards, the world was considered a unipolar world, as in the United States was the hegemon, far and away the biggest power, and it impacted everything. Most sociocultural impact came from America. Most of the new tech came from America, from California, where I'm from. American capitalism and globalization and standards of free trade took over the world. The American Navy kept the high seas free for free trade globally. American standards of the economy were everywhere, and other rising nations really started pegging their success to the US dollar, or their currencies to the US dollar. A lot of international development was driven by US-backed initiatives and by a US-led or backed United Nations. Yes, there were other powerful countries that didn't like this, like Russia, but they had little to no power to do anything about it because the US was just far and away the most powerful country in the world. And because I grew up in the United States and patriotism is served along with your morning breakfast, most scholars thought of this as a good thing. The US seemed to be a liberal democracy, was relatively protecting the world, doing things it didn't have to do to make sure free trade worked around the entire planet. It was promoting women's rights and liberalism. It was a good thing, said most people. Today, I would say this year, as of 2026, the world is no longer unipolar, And America is no longer the hegemon. It no longer leads the free world, no longer leads the European Union, no longer leads our allies who we've basically been a jerk to. The world is now run by a bunch of different actors, depending on the topic we're talking about. And this is not just because of the rise of China and India, and even Russia in some ways, although frankly Russia's destroyed its economy by attacking Ukraine. This is also simply because the US has ceded its power. With Donald Trump in charge, the US has made all of our allies feel like they can't trust us. With the war in Iran, he basically undid decades of the US protecting and upholding the law of free movement of travel, right? What he was doing with the Strait of Hormuz is against international law. And with tariffs, he basically attacked global free trade, something America had long led. This is because, if you ask me, America was never truly unipolar. It's that it was a collection of oligarchs that was the hegemon, not the US government. And this became really obvious when the interests of the American people completely diverged from the oligarchy, and it's the oligarchy that won. So here's what this means for you. When the world goes through this massive amount of upheaval, like a change from being multipolar to a different set of multipolarity, like during the World Wars, or from that to bipolarity during the Cold War, or, a unipolar state, you can expect massive economic upheaval. You can expect massive changes in global free trade. You can expect little to no reliance on how corporations will behave and what sorts of laws and regulations and user agreements they're actually going to follow. And so from an investment perspective, one of the biggest things that you can do is to diversify your portfolio and to not trust that any one specific country or company won't go under. This is also why now is, I would say, a particularly bad time to hold a ton of money in cash. It's probably a good time to invest in the stock market, in ethical stocks, in companies, in yourself. That's really important. It's also not a great time to just count on your retirement. It's possible many countries won't be able to pay out in the way that we thought when it comes to things like Social Security or pensions and pension growth. The second big piece of advice I have for you is to invest.
Thank you for watching. Great Minds Blacks. See you in the next video. One love.
Thank you for watching Great Minds Blacks.